Hey everybody, so today I want to talk about a strategy that I just kind of fell into when I went to buy my first home. And then after buying my second home, I realized that it was an incredibly valuable strategy and that if I had understood it from the very beginning, right out of the gate after I graduated from college, when I got my first job, then I would have been able to retire within 5 or 6 years, 10 years at the least, of graduating from college. Now, I want to be clear that right now I work for fun. I have a business that many of you are aware of called College Tax Refunds that allows me to help college students claim tax credits on their old taxes that they missed the first time, so I can go back and help them get that money. And that's a great joy to me to be able to help people claim money they missed. I also work very part-time for SkyWest Airlines so that I can enjoy flight privileges with my family, and we get to travel the world together. So we have an absolutely amazing, too good to be true life where we get to travel the world and where I get to work from home on my business helping students, where I get to help people get money, and where I get to spend time with my family at home. So I have a great life that I enjoy because of this strategy that I'm going to tell you about right now, that again, I wish I'd known when I was in college. And when I taught at Montana State University and when I taught at Brigham Young University, Idaho, I introduced these ideas to my students. Now, I can write on a whiteboard or on a pad of paper or share with you the actual numbers as to how this strategy works. And I would love to do that with any of you who are interested in actually seeing the breakdown in the numbers. And I was doing the research over the last couple days just to make sure that the numbers still make sense. I did research online, finding out how much it costs to buy a single family starter home right now, how much it costs to buy duplexes and triplexes and fourplexes across the country. And of course, all real estate is local and prices vary depending on where you live. And then of course, each individual house and multifamily property is different. So there are so many different variables involved in figuring out just how much one of these houses might cost. And of course, your credit score and your income will affect your interest rate that you get on the mortgage, and how much you're able to put down might be different from one person to another. So all these numbers come into play, making the scenario different for each individual and every different property. So I decided that instead of actually putting all of the numbers on a whiteboard or on a pad of paper for you, I would just talk about it, in part because I'm still trying to figure out the video thing here and how to edit things together, but in also part because those numbers aren't going to be accurate perfectly anyway. But I do want you to know that the numbers work, and I would love to talk through the numbers with any of you who are interested. And you're welcome to ask questions always in the comments below, and of course tell me what other content you want me to cover. But here's the deal. We're talking about how to retire within 5 to 10 years of graduating from college. And if you're already well out of college, you can still use these exact same strategies to retire within 5 to 10 years from now. But it may be a little more challenging for you since you've already grown accustomed to whatever current life you're living, whatever lifestyle you're living. This is easier for college students to do because they have a lower expense lifestyle. They're used to living on less money right now, and because of that, they can continue to live on less money for a little bit longer, and that will help them advance much quicker towards retirement. So here's the idea. The first thing you need to know is that in order to retire, or to get out of the rat race, to leave and to do whatever you want, the goal is very simple. It's this, and I first heard this or learned this from Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki's book, but the principles aren't his. The idea is your passive income needs to exceed your expenses, your living expenses, and your lifestyle expenses. That's how you retire early. That's when you're allowed to stop working. Is when, think about this, when money passively comes to you that is more than enough to cover your lifestyle expenses, then you can retire. Because you don't, and by retire, I mean you can enjoy your life without having to work. And that's, of course, because the money covers those expenses. That's the equation. So remember that equation. That's what you're going for. And in order to get to that point, there are two things you need to do. The first one is, there are not two things you need to do, but two ways to do it. You can either increase your passive income, work to build that passive income, or you can decrease your living expenses. Now, for most of us, it's more fun to increase our passive income. It's hard for us to actually increase our active income. We get what we get when we're working, when we get paid whatever our boss is willing to pay us. But the point is that we can find ways to increase our passive income on the side. And that's what I'm going to teach you about. Then, as for your living expenses, again, if you're a college student, you're already used to living with lower expenses. And if you can figure out just exactly what is needed for your dream life, if you can say, well, it would be great if I had these tickets to this sporting, if I had these annual tickets to this sporting event that's my favorite, and if I had this annual pass to a certain ski resort or something that or if I was able to pay for my annual club membership, and I'm able to travel a certain number of times per year to different continents or whatever you want to do, and if I'm able to have this certain car, and if I'm able to have a house of this size. The point is, you need to identify for yourself what exactly is required for your ideal lifestyle. For me, it involves traveling. It involves some of the things I just mentioned, annual ski passes and a football pass to my favorite college football team, which is BYU Cougars, for any of you who are interested. But the point is that you figure out what are your expenses for your personal lifestyle, and no more, no less. I mean, identify what it is that would make you comfortable and happy. And of course, to be clear, possessions and things and money don't make you comfortable and happy. You decide what makes you comfortable and happy. You decide to be comfortable and happy. But that's a topic for a different day. Point is that you pick your personal living expenses, figure out by putting a dollar sign, an amount next to them, how much that's going to cost you. And then and be sure to include your utilities and your groceries and your regular expenses. So this is kind of making a backwards budget. Don't start from saying, here, how much income do I have? Okay, now how much do I have to spend on all these little things just to make sure that I keep it under my income? No, start from looking at your expenses. If you had all the money in the world that you could possibly want, how much would your expenses be to live the life that you'd like to live? And write it out. You'll find out that it's less than you thought, that you don't actually need that much money to live kind of the way you'd like to live. At least not, for me it wasn't, and I think for most people it's not. They're surprised. And so now you have an expense number. Okay, so your goal to retire then is to take that expense number of the life you want to lead, which you have to come up with first, and you have to exceed that number with your passive income. Then you can retire. Okay, so I'm not going to talk or go into detail about figuring out what your goals in your life is and your expenses. I've given you some information. You can get started on that. If you want more information about that, Tim Ferriss in his 4-Hour Workweek book dives really into that idea of figuring out what your expenses are and realizing that they're actually achievable. So you can look to him. For the income portion and your passive income, that's what I want to talk about right now. Again, college students start from a place of having a lower desired expense amount. And so that's why this might be easier for you if you start it right as soon as you leave college. Here's the deal. College students might be living on $20,000 a year, $30,000 a year, just not very much. And then maybe even less. And then they graduate and they get their first job. And maybe their first job offers them $40, $50, $60, maybe even $70,000 a year. It's 2 to 3 times more than they've been making. And so, if they can continue to live just a little bit longer, a couple, 2-3 years longer as a college student, continuing to live on somewhere around $20,000 a year of expenses, while they're making $50,000, $60,000 a year, they can really achieve this goal fast. Other people can do it, but they probably won't do it as fast as those college students who decide they're going to keep living like college students. So what do? The first step is to buy your first house as a multi-family home, a duplex, a triplex, or a fourplex. That's what I ended up doing when I bought my first house, and I just kind of stumbled into it. The reason I did it was because I was thinking, houses are expensive. I would like a bigger house, but I don't know that I can afford to make these payments on a bigger house. I thought when I got my first job that I was going to live there forever. And that's a totally different story. That's funny. I've moved so many times, and I've changed jobs, and I've started different businesses. And so that was kind of just a joke. But I still, because of that mindset that I thought I'm going to live here forever and I want this house to be a place I can settle down in for the next 20 years and raise my kids in, I wanted a bigger house, and I knew I couldn't afford the bigger house on my starting salary just out of college, so I looked for a house that could help me pay for itself. And I found a duplex that I could expand into and live in. So it's like I had this home that you could live in. I could live in the upstairs and the downstairs all as a single family unit if I wanted, or the downstairs had its own kitchen and I could seal it off and use it and rent it out as a duplex. And when I saw that house, I knew that's the one I want because it would help pay for itself. That's how I first stumbled into this. So I've also learned that it seems like duplexes are a little easier to come by as far as financially, and they make more financial sense than a fourplex for what I'm about to explain to you. Also, the living area in a duplex is a little bit larger in most duplexes than in fourplexes. So I'm asking you to consider making your first home that you purchase a multifamily home and living in it, which means don't get in your mind that you're going to live in your dream home right out of college. You're going to have your first paycheck and you're making $50,000, $60,000 a year, and you're not going to go out and buy your dream home. You're going to buy a multifamily unit and live in an apartment, basically, continuing to live like a student as you've been doing for the last 4 to 6 to 8 years. And again, it doesn't matter what you majored in or what your first job is, anybody can do this. So your first home is a multifamily home. And the price on multifamily homes is not twice the price of a single family home. In today's market, a starter home with, say, 2-3 bedrooms for a young family just out of college is going to run you around $200,000, depending on where you live across the country. And a duplex might be $300,000. Okay, so it's not twice as much. And a triplex might be $400,000, and you might be able to find a fourplex out there for $500,000. So now you've got 4 units for less than 4 times the price of a single family unit. And those fourplexes that have 2 to 3 bedrooms in each unit, just like a single family starter home might have 2 to 3 bedrooms. Now you've got a fourplex with each unit at about 1,200 square feet or 1,000 square feet or something with 2 to 3 bedrooms, just like a single family home, but you've got 4 single family homes for the price of only 2.5 at $500,000 to $600,000. And so, and you can qualify for a multifamily 2 to 4 unit home just in the same way that you would qualify for a mortgage on your single family home. When you go into the bank and you say, I want to buy a home, and you've got a $60,000 a year annual salary and your credit score is 700 or something, you're okay. You're able to apply for a mortgage for your own personal residence, for your own home, for anything from 2 to 4 units. This is not a business loan. It's not an investment property. This is your own personal residence. And it has with it an extra rental unit or 2 or 3. So your payments on this are not going to be, if you get a duplex, they're not going to be twice the monthly payments. They're going to be only a little bit more. If you bought a single family home, your starter home, your monthly payment might be, including taxes and insurance, maybe HOA dues, and your principal and interest on your mortgage, you're going to be looking at $1,000 to $1,100 a month that you're making a payment on. Plus, you're going to have your normal expenses of maintaining the home, your maintenance, and of course you're going to have utilities and you're going to have all your other expenses. Living in a house is expensive. But your mortgage, the payment that you make every single month, and your taxes and insurance just by itself, let's say $1,000 a month. Now, if you went out and got a duplex, that might increase to $1,500 a month, okay? And if you get a triplex, that might be $2,000 a month. And if you get a fourplex, your payment might be $2,500 to maybe up to $3,000 a month on your monthly payment if you're able to put down about 20% on any of these units and get a decent rate in today's market, say around 4% to 4.5%, or even better. So your payment, once again, $1,000 a month on a single family home is now $2,500 a month or $3,000 a month on 4 units. So think about that. $1,000 a month for 1 unit or $3,000 a month for 4 units. You're getting a better bang for your buck, buying 4 units up front on your first home. And you can afford this because you're still living the college lifestyle, $20,000 a year. So that means the extra $40,000 you're making. Remember, you got a $60,000, let's say you got a $50,000 paycheck. The extra $30,000 you're making that you're not living off of because you're still living like a college student, that's what you're using to buy this home. And not only are you using that $30,000 a year to make your monthly mortgage payments on this duplex or fourplex, but now you have passive income. And remember, we're trying to retire early, and that means getting our passive income to exceed our living expenses. And our passive income has already started from day one because you've got 1 unit if you bought a duplex, or 2 or 3 units of people paying you rent. And what are they paying you in rent? Well, today's rent for a 2 to 3 bedroom, 1,000 square foot home is around $1,000-ish. 900, 800, 1,100, 1,200, depends on where you live. But now you've got, let's say, one other person paying you $1,000 a month. You bought a duplex, remember, where this mortgage payment was at $1,500 a month. And now somebody else is paying you $1,000 a month to live in your basement. That means your mortgage, your personal rent for the upstairs apartment that you live in as a college student with a 2 to 3 bedroom home is only $500 a month. Somebody's paying you the other $1,000 of your mortgage. They're helping you build equity in your home. They're helping you buy this home. And you are only paying $500 a month. Where if you had bought your own single family home, you would be paying $1,000 a month. And if you had bought or continued to live in an apartment as a college student and rent it from somebody else, you would be paying $1,000 a month. But now you're paying $500 a month and you're building equity in a home. And since you're only paying $500 a month, and since you're living like a college student at $20,000 a year, you're living like a college student who has a very low rent. You're able to save. You're making $50,000 a year or $60,000. You're paying only $500 on your home every month, and you're building equity in it. And since you're keeping your living expenses down and continuing to live like you did in college, you're putting away $20,000 a year. Just sock it away. Save it up. Okay? Put it in an account. Why? Because in no less than 2 years, could be 1 year, but in no less than 2 years, you're going to do this again. If you're able to save, let's say, $20,000 a year by living like a student and by only paying $500 a month in rent, in mortgage, not rent, but in your own home, then in 2 years, if you're saving $20,000 a year, you've saved $40,000. And now guess what? You've got enough to buy another $200,000 or whatever building. And you can save, if you can save faster, great, but give it 2-3 years at the most, and you've got $60,000, and you can go buy another duplex or another triplex. And now you move into the new one, okay? Or you stay where you are, I don't care. But now you've got 2 more people paying you $1,000 a month each if you bought another duplex. Or you've got 3 people, or you've got 4 people. Okay, let's say you bought a fourplex for your second one. Okay, so let's say your first one was a duplex. Okay, you moved into it. You're getting paid $1,000 a month, and your mortgage going out is $1,500. So that means you're only paying $500 a month for your home expense. Okay, now you've bought a fourplex. Actually, I'm sorry, you do have to move into it. Forgive me, a second ago I said you don't have to move into it, but you're going to have to move into this fourplex because in order to qualify for the new mortgage, you have to tell the bank this is going to be your personal residence. This is not an investment property. This is your personal residence. You're moving into it, okay, and you're going to qualify for a new personal residence loan on a fourplex this time, let's say. And let's say it's going to cost you $500,000 or whatever, and so in this case, maybe you had to wait 3 years. You know what? I'm struggling with the numbers again. The numbers do work and they make sense, but I don't want to get into the nitty gritty here. The point is that after somewhere between 2 to 3 to 4 years, you're able to buy another duplex, triplex, or fourplex. Let's go with the duplex because it's easier to explain. So you buy another duplex. This time you pay $300,000 for that duplex. You're going to pay another $1,500 a month for this mortgage. And this time you move into it and you're going to get another $1,000 from the person living in your basement. But now your old duplex that you still own, you're getting $2,000 a month. So now you have 2 duplexes. Each one's costing you $1,500 a month. That means your mortgages run you $3,000 a month. And guess what? Person upstairs in duplex 1, person downstairs in duplex 1, person downstairs in duplex 2 are each paying you $1,000 a month. That's $3,000 a month. That means that at the end of 2 years, when you've bought your second duplex, you got $3,000 of passive income coming in and $3,000 going out on your mortgage. Guess what? You're now living rent-free. It doesn't cost you anything to live in a home. And this is still 2-3 years out of college. Hopefully you're still living like a college student. Maybe your expenses have crept up to $25,000 a year. Okay? Try to keep it down just for a couple more years. But at this point, your general living expenses are actually going down. When you were a college student, that $20,000 a year that you were living on included your rent. That's like $10,000, $12,000 of rent that you were paying as a college student. You were actually only living as a college student on $8,000, $10,000, something like that. Okay? And your rent was the other $10,000, $12,000. And right now, you're living rent-free, mortgage-free because 3 other people are paying for your mortgage. So basically, if you're still living like a college student, your living expenses are like $8,000, $10,000. Maybe they're $20,000. Maybe you're other than your mortgage, your living expenses, your entertainment, your utilities, your travel, your food, all those things might be, if you've been able to keep it down, might be $10,000 or $20,000 at the most. And now you're getting paid $60,000 a year. You're living on $20,000 of it. You've got another $40,000 that you're doing nothing with every single year. Once again, you're getting paid $60,000 a year. Your living expenses are costing you $20,000 of it. You've got $40,000 left that you're able to just sock away and get ready to buy the next duplex, triplex, or fourplex. Meanwhile, your mortgage is completely paid by 3 other people. So give it another 2 years. So now we're 4 years out of college. Out of college, the first year you bought your first home, it was a duplex. 2 years later, you bought another home, it was a duplex. And now you're 4 years out of college. You're going to buy your third duplex. You're going to once again apply for it to be your primary residence. Tell the bank you're moving into it, okay? And you are moving into it. And you buy your third one 4 years out of college. With that $40,000 a year you've saved, so at the end of 2 years, you've got $80,000 to put down on this new duplex that costs you, once again, $300,000. You're going to do this 3 times. You could do this with triplexes or fourplexes, but in every case, the finances are about the same, and you got to do it about 3 times. Okay? So here's your third time. You move into your third home. It's your third duplex. Now guess what? You've got 5 rental units. The first duplex, upstairs, downstairs. The second duplex, upstairs, downstairs. And the downstairs in the home you're now living in. As a college student, you got other expenses of about $20,000, $25,000 a year. Your income, your passive income is now $5,000 per month, okay? And your mortgages are $1,500 for the first one, $1,500 for the second one, $1,500 for the third one. That's $4,500 per month. So now your passive income, okay, is $5,000, and your mortgage living expenses and the expenses generating that are $4,500, meaning you're getting $500 in your pocket every single month after paying your own mortgage and living expenses. Okay? $500 every single month. Passive income. Into your pocket. You don't have to work for it. $500 every single month. That's $6,000 a year. And you're living on $20,000, $25,000 a year. Okay? Let's say you're at 25. Meanwhile, you're still working, just like all of your friends who graduated from college, and now you're up to making, we're 4 years out of college. Let's hope you're making $75,000. Maybe you're making $80,000 a year now. Let's go with 75 though. You're making $75,000 a year, $75,000. Your living expenses are now $25,000 because 4 years out of college, you're still keeping your living expenses low. You're still living in a duplex, maybe 1,200 square feet, maybe 3 bedrooms, okay? And you are now saving $50,000 a year, socking it away. You're 4 years out of college, you're saving $50,000 a year, and you have another $6,000 a year coming in as passive. So now you're saving $56,000 a year. Okay? 8 years out of college. Now, let's see. Sorry, that was 4 years. 6 years out of college now. 6 years out of college now. You have saved up $110,000, $112,000. Okay? Now go buy. The best scenario is you do this one more time, all right? So let's say you do it. You're 6 years out of college. You buy your fourth duplex, $300,000. You're putting down $110,000 on it. This time the mortgage is only going to be $1,000 at the most, okay? $1,000 a month. But now you have 3 duplexes, each giving you $2,000 a month, and another that you live in, 6 years out of college, okay? So what are you, 27, 28 years old? I don't know. And you're making $7,000 a month, $7,000 a month between those 4 duplexes in passive income. They cost you $5,500 a month. They cost you $5,500 a month in mortgage. So you're putting $1,500 a month in your pocket. 6 years out of college, passive income, $1,500 a month. That's $18,000 a year. Remember, when you graduated college, were living on $20,000, and that included your mortgage. That included your rent. $18,000 a year is now your passive income, and you don't have a mortgage or rent. It's totally covered by all these other people. So your passive income, after expenses going in your pocket, $18,000 a year. I know I'm making this a little too easy. I know I'm not considering some other expenses, but the numbers do work. You can ask me questions. But this is the method, that you've got $18,000 a year of passive income coming in. Your living expenses, when you don't include any mortgage, okay, they're not going to be more than $20,000, $25,000 if you've been smart and wise. In fact, they may be even less. And at some very soon point, it's just 6 years out of college, you're going to have passive income that is exceeding your rental expense, your living expenses. And now you can technically retire. And that doesn't mean you're never going to work again. What it means is you can now decide where you want to work, what you want to do. The freedom, the financial freedom that comes from this method, this plan, after just 6 years, is that you can now decide where you want to work, what you want to do, how you want to add value, and you can be whoever and whatever you want to be. And you're used to living at a low level of expenses. But as you continue to work on and increase your passive income, as you continue to save, if you keep working at that job $75,000, $80,000 a year, and you're able to save $40,000, $50,000 a year, and you just keep putting it away, and plus you're getting $18,000 of passive income, and you buy another rental property, you invest in other things, 10 years out of college, after just 10 years, do this 2 more times, but you're going to be having the passive income that allows you to live however you want to live. If you've already identified all of your living expenses for the lifestyle you want to lead, that passive income will very quickly be able to exceed your expenses, and then you can retire. You can live how you want. Again, you can do this no matter where you are in life. Wherever you are right now, you can decide, we need to go buy a duplex and move into it. We're going to go look for it, and we're going to sell the home we're in. We're going to take the equity, and we're going to buy a duplex. And we're going to let somebody else help us to pay for our mortgage right now. And then in 2 years, buy another one. So you can do this whoever you are, but it's very easy for college students because they already know how to live on low income, with lower expenses. If you have any questions, let me know. If you'd like me to talk about any other topics, please put it in the comments below, and I'll do another video on this topic at some point in the future when I figure out all this YouTube video making even better and I'm able to put the numbers up for you. But I hope this is helpful, and I hope that some of you will consider to do this, and within 10 years you'll be able to retire. I did most of it myself. I stumbled into it. I started and bought my first home just a little over 13 years ago, and then I bought another duplex. That was a duplex. I bought another duplex after that. Somewhere in the middle there, I bought a little mobile home and lived in that, which only cost me $10,000 or $30. I can't remember what it cost me, like $10,000 to move my family into. And to buy it and own it outright. We paid a couple $100 a month to live in that mobile home, like $300 a month. And meanwhile, we had 2 duplexes, each of them putting, a couple $1,000s into our pocket. A couple $1,000 paying off those duplexes, building equity. So we've been building equity in these properties, and then I bought another rental home. And so the point is that I've been following this, and 7 years after I bought my first duplex, I was able to quit my job working for anybody else, and other than the airline, which I do just for fun because I want to be there, because I get to travel. And I started my own businesses, and I've been doing that ever since. And again, those businesses are just for fun and to help people. And so my point is that I followed this, stumbled into it, and within about 7 years, I was able to step away from any job, and I didn't have to rely on somebody else's payment plan. And I wasn't working for the man anymore. I've been working for myself. So there you are. If you have any questions, let me know. Have a great day.